So hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on full stack web development, careers on full stack development. I'm Prashant, I'll be the host for your day. So can you please confirm if I'm audible to everyone in the comments, in the chat, I'm sorry. Please give an acknowledgement if I'm audible. So thank you for the confirmation guys. So let's get started with the webinar. All right, next question. So we are in the middle of a COVID pandemic and it's been horrible on every one of us, be it the students or the employers or the employees or anyone. And today we'll focus on that and we will mainly discuss about how is the status and how is the situation for freshers. Those freshers may be from the 2020 batch or 2019 batch or the upcoming batch was a 2021, and we will discuss about all the opportunities, and as you might already know by now, we'll be discussing about the status of the batch and then about the opportunities in full stack web development with regards to this batch. All right. Cool. So firstly, an introduction to ourselves. Who are we? So we are Ethnos and we help students realize their dreams, and we are doing it for the last 14 years. Whether it may be placements or you're getting a job or mock interviews, we do everything. So we are a tech company. We help students realize their dreams. So a bit about myself. I'm Prashant. I'm a software engineer at Ethnos, and I develop full stack applications at Ethnos. And my skills are JavaScript, React, Webpack, DynamoDB, MongoDB, Nginx, and AWS. So this is my profile. So I myself am a full stack web developer, and I would be guiding you into this field of how to get into the field and how to get a job in the field and what you have to do if you have to excel in the field of web development. Like web development and full stack development might be used interchangeably in this webinar, so please bear with me. All right. So here you can see this image. So this is nothing but World Skills 2019. So World Skills is nothing but the Olympics of skills. So it's a place where people can showcase their skills. There'll be a lot of skills like cloud computing and cybersecurity and cooking and everything. So there'll be skills for everyone, everything. And we, Ethnos, are the official cloud computing expert for Team India. All right, we'll be coaching Team India in the field of cloud computing. This is about us. And let's discuss today's agenda. So as you might already know from the thumbnail of the webinar, we are going to discuss the below points. So the company is hiring for 2020 and 2019 batch students, and the requirements and average salaries for full stack developers, placement and entrepreneurship opportunities for candidates, and how to convert this pandemic period into a placement opportunity. All these things will be discussed in this webinar. All right. Cool. Let's move ahead. So please give me a minute. So these are the companies hiring for the 2020 and 2019 batch students. So as you can see, there's a whole list of companies, and some you might be familiar and some you might not be. But of course, everybody will be familiar with all these companies shown here. So full stack development is such a field that every company, literally every company, every Fortune 500 companies wants full stack developers. So such is the demand for full stack web developers. All right. So these are the companies, just giving you just a heads up about what are the types of companies that are going to hire. And here I'd like to show you a statistic. This statistic was carried out recently, and this is nothing but the top 5 digital skills in demand. Yeah, as you can see, that first 2 skills are very relevant to full stack web developer. First one is the React.js developer, and the second one is a Java full stack developer. As you can see, the percentage shift is nothing but the growing popularity, the amount of popularity that these technologies have gained. And here, as you might already know, full stack development has gained a lot of popularity. React.js development is also related to web development. We will be discussing all these things in the webinar today. All right. So as you saw, as I said earlier, every Fortune 500 company, every company is in the requirement of a full stack web developer, because every company is on the internet. So if every company has to do business in the 21st century, if every company has to do business in the modern way, they need to have web development in their arsenal. Okay, cool. Move on. So here, firstly, I'm going to talk about a few things about web development. These are the basic things. Some of you might be knowing about these things, and some of you may not be knowing about these things. So this webinar is intended both for tech and non-tech people. Okay. So here, when we speak about the foundation, here we have two terminologies: one front end and back end. So this is the front end and this is the back end. So both front end and back end are part of full stack. Okay, front end plus back end is equal to full stack. So firstly, if you want to become full stack developer, you must start by learning the front end. All right, CSS and HTML are the two technologies that you must learn thoroughly to have a strong foundation. And then comes JavaScript. And after you learn JavaScript, there are many other things also which we will be discussing in the webinar, but these are the basic terminologies. And comes to the backend, you also need some technologies so that you can learn the backend too. So though they are Java, Node.js, and Django. These are a few examples of the backend technologies. Of course, there are a lot more backend technologies apart from these. And here you can see in this slide, JavaScript has the highest developer community. This was a Stack Overflow developer survey, which was carried out in 2018. Of course, latest survey also is in favor of JavaScript. So if you don't know, Stack Overflow is a very active community. It's the number one community preferred by programmers and computer scientists all over the world. So such a reputed organization has conducted a survey, and JavaScript has the highest number of active developers. The reason for this is, of course, JavaScript is the most in-demand language, so that is the reason you can find most active developers. JavaScript is the central part of full stack web development that you have to keep in mind. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next slide. So earlier I showed you the foundation slide, and there I said full stack development is nothing but front end plus back end. Okay, so let's get started with some of the details about front end development. So most of you who are watching this webinar might have a dream about becoming a developer, full stack developer, and most of you might be confused on how to get started with it. So I'm here to help you for these. So here let's talk about the front end first and then the back end. Okay. So if you have to learn front end, what you have to do is you have to take your time and learn HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS are the two technologies which are very, very important for you to have a strong foundation in web development or full stack development. All right. So you have to learn these first proficiently. HTML is for markup. It's like a skeleton of your web page, and CSS is for the styling, all the colors, all the animations that you see in various websites. That is done by CSS. After this, you have to learn vanilla JavaScript. So what is vanilla JavaScript? It's nothing but it's another term for pure JavaScript. And JavaScript has many flavors. If you dive deep into the world of JavaScript, you will discover many flavors of JavaScript. But firstly, you have to learn vanilla JavaScript thoroughly. All right. And as I told earlier, JavaScript is a central part of web development. And next, the frameworks. Frameworks are used to make your lives easier, and hence you need to explore frameworks like Angular, React, and Vue. please keep in mind that you have to use frameworks after you learn these two first. Like these, the points which I have mentioned are in the order. First, you have to learn these HTML, CSS, and everything, and then vanilla JavaScript, and then frameworks. So you might ask, what are frameworks? Frameworks are nothing but tools written by someone else. All right, tools written by someone else. Frameworks are always based on one language. So the Angular, React, and Vue that you see here are based on JavaScript language. Okay, all right. So it's like just let's take an example. If you want to build a house, what you'll do? You'll buy some cement, you'll buy some bricks, and then start building the house. You will not prepare the cement by yourself or prepare the bricks by yourself and then build the house. That is very inefficient, right? So the same analog to building a house is this one. You just in case if you're building very complex applications, you really can't filled with JavaScript and everything. Of course you have to, but it makes your lives much more easier if you use frameworks. Frameworks are nothing but these ready-made components written by someone else, and they have written it freely for you so that you can use it and build much more complex applications without any hassles. So those are frameworks. And then the fourth and fifth point are a bit advanced, but you need to keep these in mind. CSS preprocessors. So CSS is very tedious. So ask any developer about CSS and they'll have the same opinion that CSS is very tedious. So that is the reason you have something like CSS preprocessors. CSS preprocessors allows you to write CSS like any other programming language. Like you'll have variables and you'll have certain things like mixins to make your lives easier and to simplify your development. So those are CSS preprocessors. And then after you learn all these things, you can advance your web development skills. Advance your front-end web development skills by learning about optimizations, security, and etc. This is it. You have to learn all these things. So the first 2 points are related to the foundations. These are very important for the latter 3 points. Okay. Cool. So after you learn front-end development, parallelly you can learn back-end development too, or you can learn after you have mastered the foundations of front-end development. So when it comes to back-end development, there are so basically the front-end is what you see. If you go to any website, say if you go to codemitra.com, and you'll see something on your screen. So that is nothing but the front end. And where did that website come from? And how is that website acting? How is that website behaving? And how do you log into certain websites? All these things are handled by backend. Backend is a component which is not known by you. All right. So when it comes to backend development, you have to learn any one of these languages: Node.js, Python, PHP, or Java. These are certain examples of a few languages. Of course, the choice is yours. So Python is a language, PHP is a language, and Java is a language. Node.js is not a language, actually, it is a runtime. And you can say it's basically JavaScript, but JavaScript for the server. JavaScript is usually used as a front-end programming language to manipulate the websites and to make the user, to improve the user, feedback and everything. So that is the reason JavaScript is used. It's used to manipulate the web pages in the front end. But what a few people thought was you can also use JavaScript for the backend. So JavaScript used for the backend is nothing but Node.js. All right. Firstly, you need to learn any of these languages first, and then you need to choose any framework to build CRUD applications. So here we've discussed already what is a framework. Okay. So this framework is nothing but it's already a code which is built by someone else. All right. We use that code to build upon it and to build much more complex applications. CRUD. What is CRUD? CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. Okay, all right. If you go to Facebook and if you just post something, that is create, and you can read that post, that is read. Update and delete are you can update that post and delete that post. So any fundamental thing on the internet, on any fundamental piece of data, can be subjected to 4 operations, that is create, read, update, and delete. So this terminology is very important for backend development, and while learning backend development, you need to master CRUD applications. Okay, you have to master CRUD. All right, sure. So after these first 2 points, then we have to choose any database for our applications: MongoDB and MySQL. Computer science students might have an idea about MySQL, but MongoDB, you might find it a new thing. But trust me, to build applications, MongoDB is much more simpler than MySQL. You can pick any one of these, but recommended thing for freshers is MongoDB or a NoSQL database. Okay, instead of a SQL database, instead of a RDBMS, you can choose NoSQL database, right? And then after you learn all these things, you have to deploy your application. So you learn all these things, and you have to then after learning what you'll do, you'll build a project. So if you have to show to your employers that you have built something, you have to showcase that project somewhere else. All right. For that, what you do is you have to do development. After development, you have to do deployment. All right. Deployment is nothing but you build a basic application and you host it somewhere. You can host it on Amazon. You can host it on Heroku, so on and so forth. There are many choices. The choice is yours, but it is just to showcase your project to the outside world. So like anybody can go to your website and access your project and learn more about it. Or if you get lucky, a recruiter might see it and might contact you for hiring. All right. And then the fifth point and the last point is, this is the advanced topic. You have to advance yourself by learning serverless and learning about REST APIs, GraphQL, and everything. Serverless is nothing but a very recent technology which is trending in the industry. This is used to build, applications without using any server. So if you don't know what a server is nothing but a computer which is used to host your application. If you build a application, you have to, look for a place to host it. So that is, you host it in a server typically. Serverless is nothing but you, without using a server itself, without you yourself using a server, you can use some third-party services so that you have literally eliminated most of the things. That is serverless. I recommend you to explore this after you have explored all the above 4 points. All right, and then REST APIs and GraphQL are also very interesting terminologies, not for beginners but for advanced users. You can learn these after learning all these things. So these are the trends in web development. All right. Cool. Let's move on. Let's move on. So we've discussed about front end, back end, and how to get started in front end and back end development. That combined front end and back end development combined would give rise to a full stack developer. So what are the perks of being a full stack developer? So here we have 6 points. These are the perks of being a full stack developer. Full stack developers can work with multiple technologies. Front end uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and back end you can use Java, Node.js, Python, Django, and cloud and Heroku, so on and so forth, AWS, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, there are lots of technologies, not single language and not single technology. There are a plethora of technologies. Okay, so that is the reason full stack developers, since they learn a lot of technologies, their horizon is expanded. So that is an advantage of becoming a full stack developer. And because of this, they own the entire products and have a broader knowledge. If you go to a company for an employment, the employer can give you the entire project and he'll be confident that you will handle it because you know everything. Full front end, back end, HTML, CSS. You ask anything, and if he asks anything, you are ready. You are in a state of answering anything. So since they have the confidence of you owning the project, so that is an advantage of becoming a full stack developer in the industry. All right. And the third point is also pretty important. Say an employer, instead of hiring a front end developer and a back end developer, can hire one front end and one back end, that is two developers. He can hire just one full stack developer. That cuts the cost for many companies. So that is the reason most of the startups that you might check around in your locality or on the internet, they have a huge demand for full stack developers rather than front end or back end developers, right? And huge demand and steady growth. So the current trends say that web development is an increasing trend, and because of the COVID situation, you might know remote work is more and more encouraged now. So what is the advantage of remote work? Well, you can work from anywhere at any place. Previously, if you are in from some remote place, you had to migrate to some other city or something or some other country to get a job. But now that is not a requirement. You can sit somewhere, you can sit in the place that you desire in front of a computer, and you can work for anyone in the world. That is an advantage, and that advantage is specifically for the field of software engineering. And that is the reason there is a steady growth and a huge demand. You can make use of this pandemic period so that you can upskill yourself and you can get a job, you can get a dream job, and have the perk of all these perks. You can have all these perks, not only one single perk, all these perks. And the fifth point says that the full stack developers are adaptable and versatile. This is in relation to the first point itself. In the first point, I've told that full stack developers can work with multiple technologies. So the full stack developers has the ability to work with multiple technologies. Obviously, they are much more adaptable and versatile. The industry is is changing, guys. So tomorrow there might be a new technology that might come, and a few programmers might fall behind, unable to learn that new technology. But front-end developers are trained to work with many technologies. So that is the reason if any new technology comes tomorrow, it would be very easy for the front-end developers to read because we have trained in that way to keep being updated with the industry. That is an advantage. And sixth point is for those who want to own a business or something. So if you don't want to work in the corporate or do not want to have a 9 to 5 job, you always have the option of freelancing. If you know how to build an entire product, like the front end of a product and the back end of the product, you can start your own freelancing gig. So you can explore various websites related to freelancing, and you can be your boss itself. So that is a big advantage of being a full stack web developer. That is freelancing. All right, cool. So let's go on to the next slides. So here is a slide about the salary insights about a full stack developer. So here you can see the low salary of a full stack developer is 4 LPA and average salary is 6 LPA and the highest salary is 16 LPA. Alright. So here you can see high salary of 16 LPA and average salary of 6 LPA is obviously much more better than the average salary in our country. So that is a biggest advantage of becoming a full stack developer. Every industry, you have to keep in mind that every industry needs a full stack developer. All right, every company, even automobile companies like Mercedes-Benz and everyone, even they are in need of full stack developers. You can imagine the demand that full stack developers have. So that is the reason this slide makes sense. Average salary is 6 LPA and it will increase in the coming years, and the high salary is 16 LPA. Okay, this is about the salary insight. So after all these things, we'll discuss some case studies. Most of you might know certain things about web development, or some of you might already have explored the web development. I'm going to talk about a few case studies of web development and a few requirements about web development. So case study is, the first case study that you have got is about Twitter. So here you can see Twitter. I'll just explain how Twitter uses full stack web development to make its product. Okay. So as you can see, the first class languages of Twitter are JavaScript, Ruby, Scala, and Java. So these are Ruby, Scala, and Java are used in the backend, all right, and JavaScript is used in the front end and in the backend. Okay, and sometimes you can see C language is also used. C language is actually the basic language that every computer science student will learn. So so that is like an evergreen language. And here you can see React and Bootstrap are used in the front end with JVM based language as the backend. So React, here if you remember in the foundations slide with front end development, I told that after learning vanilla JavaScript, HTML, CSS and vanilla JavaScript, then you have to move to the frameworks. So React is one such framework. It's a very popular framework. It's the number one framework undoubtedly in the web development industry, in the front end development. All right. And Bootstrap is a CSS based framework. It is also a framework based on CSS. It was created by Twitter itself. It is used at the front end. And JVM based languages at the back end. JVM based languages are, you can say, they are Java and Java like languages, Java, Scala, and all these things. And here you can see the search team. The search is actually very important feature of Twitter. And they use a software called Lucene. Lucene is an open source software by Apache, and they use Lucene, and Lucene works very well with Java. So when you go to Twitter, search for any tweet, search for any person or so, Lucene is the technology behind it. They use that. They use that in the backend. All right, and they also use a library called Finagle for building asynchronous RPC servers and clients in Java. So RPC is remote procedure call. It is an important terminology in your backend development. And when it comes to backend development, they also use the service-oriented architecture. So this is a new kind of an architecture where various things would be arranged as services. Say, if I want to give you an example, if you go to Twitter right now, what component should be there in Twitter? There would be a main page, there'll be a sidebar, and there'll be a chat. All these are services, okay? They are not one big application. Of course, Twitter is a whole big application, but they are divided into these three components: the feed, what you see, and the notification section, and the chat window. All these are services. So they use an architecture called a service-based architecture, and this would be very important because sometimes what happens is everything fails, right? What if the chat fails? If the chat fails, the home feed and the notification shouldn't be affected. So that is the advantage of service-oriented architecture. They use service-oriented architecture. All right. So most of the things that I discussed are related to backend more than front end. And when it comes to front end, just to give a summary, React and Bootstrap are used in the front end. JavaScript is used in the front end, and the languages used in the back end are Ruby, Scala, and Java and C. All right. And for features such as search and RPC servers, they use Lucene and Finangle respectively. All right. So you can read about these things. These things are much more technical in detail. If you didn't understand anything about Lucene and Finangle, no problem. You can just advance upon your web development skills, and then you'll be very familiar with Lucene and Finangle. Okay. And also, I encourage you to learn more about the service-oriented architecture. All right. These are advanced terminologies. Might not be for everyone. So that is the reason I'm just telling about it so that you can explore and you can feed your curiosity into the field of full stack web development. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Here you can see the next case study is about YouTube. So YouTube, you are watching this webinar on YouTube. So let's learn something about YouTube, how YouTube is built as a full stack web application. All right. So YouTube initially in 2005, it was built using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP. HTML, CSS, JavaScript was used at the front end and PHP in the back end. All right. So PHP was a famous language and very in-demand language a few years ago, and unfortunately, it has been replaced by much more better languages now. All right. So, and then YouTube was acquired by Google. All right. And the latest technologies used by YouTube include languages like Python, JavaScript, HTML, Go, Java, C++, and C. All right. Here you can just guess which are the front end, which are the back end. JavaScript and HTML are the front end things. All right. In front end, literally JavaScript is only JavaScript is used until now for front end. Of course, there are upcoming technologies like Flutter and so, but here in 2021, JavaScript is the king of the front end web development. All right. So wherever you see JavaScript, it is most likely used in the front end itself. All right. So JavaScript and HTML are used by YouTube currently, and Python, Go, Java, C++, and C are used in the back end. Here, even in Twitter, you saw multiple languages. Why Twitter and YouTube use multiple languages instead of one, if you ask? The answer is simple. They do not want to be dependent on one language. Say you have a language called Java, all right? The problem of using Java is it consumes more memory. It uses a lot of memory, all right? So in that case, if you want to develop a very sleek application, then Java won't be suitable for that. So that is the reason. For that they use a lean language such as Go. Go is a language created by Google itself. It is much more better in certain aspects when compared to Java. So to reduce the dependency on one single language, they use multiple languages. And as I told earlier, the service-oriented architecture. So because of service-oriented architecture and microservices and all, basically it's like instead of writing a big application in one language, you will write all small applications in whatever the language that is suitable for those small applications and connect all the applications together, so that all the amalgamation of all these small applications will form one big YouTube or one big Twitter or so. So this is an advantage. This is a trend in the industry. So that is something that you need to be aware of. All right. Multiple languages are used to reduce the dependency on one language. All right. When it comes to front-end framework, it uses Polymer.js. YouTube uses Polymer.js. Polymer.js is kind of an unknown framework actually. It's like pretty ambiguous why YouTube uses Polymer.js apart from instead of React or Vue or something, but it uses Polymer.js framework, and then it uses Hammer.js framework at the front end. All right, Polymer.js and Hammer.js are the two technologies that are used in the front end. And the mobile front end, so JavaScript, HTML, CSS cannot be used in the mobile also. Like you really can't. When it comes to mobile, it's better to use web applications, like not web applications, the native applications. Like if you download YouTube, YouTube, in Android phone, it is built using a technology called Flutter. All right. In iOS, it's built using a technology called Swift. All right. These are the mobile front ends. So those front ends they do not require a web browser. All right. For the usual front ends like JavaScript and everything, you need a web browser. But these applications don't require any you know web browser. All right. Recently, you have technologies such as React Native or so, which enables you to write both web applications and mobile applications in one code base. Like you can leverage one single technology called React and write both mobile applications, Android or iOS applications, and web applications. So that is an advantage that I recommend you guys to learn after you learn React.js if you are interested in React.js. Right? YouTube also uses a custom framework called SPF for performance enhancements. So this is kind of related to web performance. So what happens here is when you build a typical website, all right, all the the web is actually typical website is in the form of a tree data structure. It's like we call it a document object model, all right, and this document object model is a tree data structure. And sometimes what you need to do is you need to load one component after the other. Say if you are watching the video, that is one component, and the chat section is another component, and the comment section is another component. All these three things need to be independent so that if one fails, the other one should be running. So that is for that to do it in the front end, they use SPF, and its back end counterpart are nothing but services, individual services. All right. So this thing might confuse for beginners, but keep in mind the main motto of developing a very huge application like YouTube or Twitter is to reduce the dependencies. All right, this is very important. So if you are aware of this, then you can go deep into these concepts and build your applications if required. And this, right? So cool. Let's go to the next slide. So here you can see Facebook. So this one is a typical job posting from Facebook. Facebook hires full stack developers, right? Facebook is one of the most widely used social media, and they are one of the pioneers of. They have an immense contribution to the field of development. They have they created React, and the React framework is created by Facebook, and React Native also is created by Facebook. So they have pretty good name in the open source world, right? So when it comes to Facebook, and if you go to Facebook, and if you want to become a full stack developer in Facebook, what requirements do they need? Are these. So what you need to do is you need to define and implement software that Facebook uses to build and manage its infrastructure and data centers, and you need to architect efficient and reusable backend as well as front-end systems depending upon the problem you are solving for, and you stay hands-on and keep your thirst for writing code quenched every day, and you are a builder. So these four are very important requirements if you want to join as a software engineer or a full stack web developer in Facebook. All right, here you can see they emphasize on front end as well as back end as well as the front end, and this is especially for the infrastructure team. All right, there are many teams in Facebook, the Facebook itself and Instagram and the data centers. There are many teams. Almost every team hires for full stack web developers, and this is one of the requirements. All right. Sure. So let's move on to the next slide. So here, even Apple hires for full stack web developers. Apple is one of the most, one of the only companies which nowadays makes both software and hardware and make their the whole thing in-house. So, and they are in requirement of full stack developers. If you just go to various job postings and if you check it out, Apple hires for full stack developers. And even Apple has the requirement of designing client-side and server-side architecture. So here they are focusing on the architecture, so both client-side architecture and server-side architecture. we discussed client-server architecture by using talking about SPF that YouTube uses, and the server-side architecture that comprises of mainly microservices and service-oriented architecture that Twitter uses. Those are nothing but architectures, all right. And you need to design them. This is one of the requirements. And you need to build the front end of applications through appealing visual designs, all right. And of course, that is Apple. You need to improve. You need to impress people visually, all right. And then databases. You need to handle well-functioning databases and applications, and write effective APIs and open source APIs. So what is an API? Here, while going through the requirement, one thing that caught your eye is APIs. API is nothing but it is like a function, all right. In general programming terms, API. Let's assume API as a waiter. If you go to a restaurant and you order for something, all right, what the waiter does is he goes to the kitchen and fetches you food. Here the waiter is nothing but the API, all right. So here also in web development terms, say if you require some service from some of the services, say there are many services online. You can think one of the services, say if you want to fetch the latest weather, all right, weather of now. What you can do is you cannot have a thermometer, you cannot have the devices to measure the weather everywhere in any part of the world and do that. There are some other people who have already done that, like AccuWeather and everything, and they provide something known as an API, all right. And you can access their API to get the weather details of any part of the world. They act like a server. They fetch you details from any part of the world, and they charge you minimal fees for that. That is nothing but an API, all right. So you have to write APIs for Apple also, and these APIs are of course proprietary to Apple. They might be proprietary or open source. And open source is nothing but the code is available. Like if you build an application and make it open source, that means the code is available for anyone on the internet to read. That is open source, all right. And there are other requirements also, like testing, troubleshooting. Of course, if you're a full stack developer, you need to learn testing also. After developing the applications, you have to test it and make sure it is market ready. That is one more important requirement. And security and data protection settings, and features and applications with a mobile responsive design. All these things are requirement by Apple. Here, responsive design is one more terminology that you have encountered right now. So, what is responsive development? What is responsive design when it comes to front-end development? Is that the website that you build should be running very well both on mobile phones and desktops. It shouldn't look very weird on a mobile phone, or it shouldn't look very weird on a website. It should look coherent both on a desktop and on a mobile phone. So that is nothing but a responsive design, all right. So not just a mobile and desktop, like regardless the screen size, the website should be very well good looking, all right. That is nothing but a responsive design. So let's move on to the next slide. So here is where we come, Ethnos comes. So initially, while giving an introduction to Ethnos, I told that we help you realize your dreams, all right. So we help you learn web development, all right. So before that, let's discuss a few things in which the freshers make, like not choosing the right technologies for the first thing, and not getting trained, all right, and not giving attention to practical stuffs, not choosing the right certification, not focusing on overall development. These are the problems that you encounter while learning any technologies, not only full stack development, but any technology you learn. These are the 5 mistakes that usually freshers usually make, all right. So we step in to fill this gap, and we make sure that you do not make any of these mistakes and you excel in your career. Right here, we are Ethnos. So here you can see we at Ethnos, we make sure that you are good in all these things. So these are certain skills that companies are looking in case of freshers. You need to be good at aptitude. Of course, aptitude is the first round of any interview that you go, any technical interview that you go. Like say if there is a placement opportunity for software developers, the first thing that they ask is aptitude. Communication. You need to be very good while speaking, communicating your ideas with your co-workers and all. And full stack developers, it is in demand. Okay. Self-learning. If any new technology comes tomorrow, or if you make any mistake, you have to learn from your mistakes itself. And that is the most important point. And fifth one is the fast learner. The world is technology. The world is changing very fast. You need to keep up with the pace, otherwise you will fall behind. all these things are required by for a company to hire you. All right. If you want to excel in the software industry, you have to be sure that you are good with all these things. All right. So this is where we help you. Here you can see this is a Google form, and Google form for the program called POP. Ethnos Code Mitra is offering a program called POP. POP stands for Pay on Placements. So if you are interested in this program, you can fill up this form. So this program is nothing but you can, as the name says, you can pay after your placements. You can pay half of the money now, and then after you get placed, and you can pay other half again. All right. There are various things that you will be able to get. You'll get a NASCOM certification, and you'll be NASCOM Future Skills certified, and you'll be trained by one of the most well qualified trainers. Okay. So those are the advantages of taking this POP program. So if you are interested in this program, I'll post a link in the comment section below. So please do check this out. You can also visit the codemitra.com website or pop.codemitra.com so that you can check check more details. You can get more information about this program. You can pay only after you get placed. Okay, that is a very good thing. It's a first of its kind where you pay for the course after you get placed. That is a big advantage of this course. All right. So we have such confidence on our faculty, our trainers, so that they will get you placed in the companies. It requires your effort also. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Here to speak more about our capabilities, and we are very proud about our last 12 years. We have excelled in this field, in the field of EdTech, and we would like to present you with certain testimonials. Here you can see we have the HRs of two of our companies. All right. So here you can see one of the HR has told that they are very happy with the services that we provide. All right. And we have been working with them for the past 4 years, and the general thing is that they are pretty happy. They are very happy with the service that Ethnos provides. And you can see the HR of Virtusa, who has found that our candidates are very diligent and knowledgeable. So this is the main perk. We have very good industry connections, and we have great testimonials, and people are happy to work with us. So that is the main advantage of such a program and such a organization. And the few other testimonials. So here you can see the principal of RBCE College. We've been their clients for the past 12 years, and we help upskilling the students of RBCE. And the general consensus is people are very happy with the services that we provide. Though we have been training them in aptitude, technical, career skills, and preparing them for corporate recruitment. All right. And then you can see the CEO of analytics-based company, and they have been our clients for the past 4 to 5 years, and even they are also extremely happy about the services that we provide. The most important thing about you have to notice is we are making the students industry ready, not just getting a job, but becoming industry ready. That's a huge thing that any freshers can do. If you are very good in the industry, and if you are very good in the core skills, the self-learning ability, the fast learning ability, and becoming a very good problem solver in general, we help you achieve your dreams, literally your dream, not just a job, but we'll not help you not just to get a job, but also we'll help you in achieving your dream. So that is about us. A few success stories that we have. Here you can see even during this pandemic period where the whole world is going through a crisis, 100 Ethnos Code Mitra students have been placed in IT companies. All right. So 25 companies had as students, and with the average package was 4.5 LPA. Here we were hearing news about layoffs and everything, but Ethnos was able to successfully place more than 100 students of the Code Mitra program. Code Mitra is nothing but the program which Ethnos has offered, and this Code Mitra itself is launching one more thing called Code Mitra Pop, one more program called Code Mitra Pop. All right, it's an extension of Code Mitra, and here you can see in the center, more than 350 Code Mitra trained students have been placed in full stack developer roles in the past 3 years. So we really have a good hang of what we are doing, and 350 plus students from Code Mitra have been placed in the full stack developer roles. And these are the few companies which our students have been placed in. There is McAfee, Capgemini, Virtusa, HCL, Sonata, Cognizant, Wipro, and so on and so forth. All right. Here are some more success stories, and here you can see Virtusa, Sonata Software, McAfee, and everyone have hired from our organization. Emphasis and everything. All right. So that is it, guys. So that we come to an end of the webinar. And if you are interested in taking our program, or if you have any feedbacks or so, please contact us via Gmail, the phone, or WhatsApp. Please write to us at codemitra@ethnos.com and contact that number also, and WhatsApp is also available. And also please rate, you can check out the Google form. Please visit this Google form. Please register in this Google form if you want to learn more about the Code Mitra Pop. All right. So that is it, guys. So with this, I'm winding up the session, and I feel so. I hope that you have gained a lot more insights about full stack web development and software development, and what it takes to be a successful in your career in general. All right. So if you like this video, please like the video and share it with your friends, and make sure you check out our website, and you can write to us. All right. And so that is it, guys. So cool. I'm signing off. Thank you again, and good evening. Yeah.